Hello.
Hello, good morning, Rahul. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm fine.
Raghav,
Okay.
Nita
Yes.
here. We received the IP address and the username and password, but can you tell me how to start about logging on to the BI and
Go to remote connections. There you can log in.
yeah, that
Are you
I
able to?
get into the desktop, but after that,
Okay.
if I use the SAP logon and then use the BI,
So they didn't provide any user ID and password for the applications?
they did, but I wasn't able to log in, so I wasn't sure if I was accessing the right application.
I think they might have provided the same user ID and password, right? Or otherwise they'll give you to log into the IP. They give you one user ID and password, and they give you the separate user ID and password to log in into the applications.
Yes, they gave two separate.
So did you try login into business objects?
They said it's for BI, so I wasn't sure which application to access.
No, actually, did you try logging into InfoView, business objects applications?
Business objects and then, oh no.
So just check this, and maybe the BI is down, and I think they need to create user ID and password for BI.
Actually, they gave a login user ID, and with that user ID, we were not able to get into the enterprise.
So they didn't give any other user ID other than login user ID?
Actually, I asked for it, and they gave me big classes. I think it's a common user ID for Universe.
Okay.
So I think
Are you
that
able
worked.
to log in?
Yeah,
Okay.
that I was able to log in, yeah.
And using the same user ID and password, did you try logging into business intelligence, BI? BW?
So for BI, there was a separate user ID and password, actually. There was a login user ID, there was a BI user ID, and there was a Universe user ID and password. So three details.
So then I think they have provided each and every user ID for every application. So check with them that so-and-so user ID is not working so that they'll add it if they didn't. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
Just a second. Okay, I'm back. So in the last class we discussed about list of values and some of the properties under parameters. So today let's see how to apply row level restrictions in universe level. So what does it mean by row level restriction? Any idea? So suppose you have multiple users in business objects under different user groups. So you have a group of users based on a department. Some users are from US, some users from India, some users from somewhere else. So now, based on the user who logs into the business objects, they are going to open a report. So based on the user, the result set should restrict the data to a specific country. So each and every user is going to open the same report, but based on the user who logs in, the data must vary based on the user to which country that he belongs to. So that is how we can manage and we can apply row level restriction on our data, so that based on the user who logs in, he'll be able to see only his related information in it. Let me check if I have print users. So I'm logging into Central Management Console where I can see all the user groups and users. And I'm going to create a new user. So now I created a new user, test user, and to add this test user to a specific group. So right click on this user. I'm going to add a group called admin. Click on OK. So now this user belongs to administrator group. And now let me log out. Close the CMC. So now I need to apply row level restriction in this universe. So for example, if the administrator or big classes user logs in, he should be able to see all the data in a report. But if I log in with test user, I should be able to see the data specific to a country. So for that, what I'm going to do here is go to Tools, under Manage Security, you have Manage Access Restrictions. So here is the window where you can manage the access restrictions in your Universe Designer. So not only row level, you can apply multiple restriction options based on the user who uses this universe. So I'm going to create a new restriction, and it's going to open the parameters window that we have in our Universe Designer. So I can change the connection. I can change the controls. I can change the SQL. I can change objects. And I can apply row level restrictions, mappings, everything, all these properties, I can change it dynamically based on the user who logs in. So this universe has been developed using eFashion. But if I have any other connection that consists of the same schema, and I can point this particular universe to the other connection, so that if a specific user that connection. So dynamically I can change all these properties and I can apply these properties to a specific user at runtime. So now here I want to apply a new restriction on my data, what I'm seeing. So here I'll name this as California, wherein I'm going to apply a restriction on a state. Select the table. I have outlet lookup table. Okay. And select the where clause. Under state is equal to click on OK, check on. Now I have created one new restriction. Like that you can have multiple restrictions defined in this manage access restrictions. Now what I'm going to do here is this restriction that I'm going to, once you define your restriction, you need to apply to which user group or to which user that you want to apply this restriction. So for that, right hand side you have add user or a group. So if you apply it to a specific user, that restriction is only for that particular user. But if you apply to a specific group, user group consists of multiple users. So for all those users under that group will be applied this particular restriction. So I'm going to click on add user or a group. Now here, specific user test. Click on OK. So I have added test user. Now which restriction that I want to apply? I have only one here. Click on apply. For this test user, I have applied a restriction with the name California. So now click on OK. So double check whether you have all those restrictions. Okay, now save this file to business object server. So now I'm going to create new webi report. I'm going to log in as the classes. So now I'm going to select state amount source. If I run it, I'll get all the data since I have logged in as administrator or B classes. So now I'm going to publish this to my business object server. Export to CMS, and I want to save this in one of the test folder. So I'll create a new folder at runtime. And in this folder, I'm going to save this universe. Export successful. Close it. So now I'm going to log in into my info view. So while logging in, I'm going to log in as test user. Go to document list and navigate through that specific report. Now if I open, what data that I'm going to see? So I'm going to see the complete data. So as per our row level restriction, it has to show only California. But why is it data? The reason is here I'm looking at saved data along with the report, not the refreshed data. If I click on refresh button, now I'm going to get only California. Because for the specific user, you have a restriction applied, state equal to California. So as soon as I open a report, since I saved my report with saved data, that's why first time when I opened it, the report is not refreshed. It's showing the old instance at the time of saving the report. Now once you click on refresh button, it's going to apply a restriction that you applied for a specific test user. So that's the reason that I'm able to see only California related information.
Raghav, does the report get run again when you click the refresh data, or is it just filtering it?
No, yes, it's going to run the report again only when you click on refresh data, until unless you're going to see the saved instance data in that.
Okay, so it's running the report in the background, right, when you say it?
Yes, that's what refresh data means. It's going to hit the data in the backend and get the latest data from your backend database. So without running it, you simply open a report from outside. See, this is saved report. If I double click on this, it's not going to refresh your data. It's going to show you the saved instance what you have in your report.
Okay.
So while saving it, you should select whether you want to save the report with data or not. So that option you already have it, so that to avoid this confusion, try to save a report so here file, document properties, file properties, refresh and open. So if you check this option, whenever you try to open this report from your info view, it's going to refresh by default. So now I'm going to save this and exporting back to CMS, export, close it, close this page. So now I have row level restriction, the report which has the option checked. If I double click, it's going to show you only. So as soon as you open it, it's going to refresh your data. So that's how it works. Any questions? So make sure that you won't get this warning message whenever, whatever that you are seeing here. Partial result set. What does it mean? I think we discussed in the first class. What should we do if I get this warning message, partial results? Partial results are just because of the restriction that we have in our universe designer level. By default, the number of rows are restricted to 5,000. Go to file parameters, under controls, see 5,000, which means by refreshing your data, if you are getting more than 5,000 rows, it's going to ignore the remaining rows and it's going to show you only first 5,000 rows. So I'm going to uncheck this option so that it's going to provide you the complete data without any restriction. So save this file, export, click on OK. Now if you refresh that report, close this. See, now I don't have partial results. So you should make sure that you're not going to get those partial result set warning. So if you're getting it, you're not going to get the correct totals in your data. The only reason is out of 10,000, you're reading only 5,000 records and showing it on your report. Any questions?
Raghav, you just import data, import from CMS. What stands for CMS?
Okay. As I said, anything that we develop, as a developer, universe developer, I can generate a universe and I can store it on my machine, which is a developer machine. But I need to distribute that universe to my business object server, which is a centralized location for all the developers, not only developers, for all the clients as well. So I need to publish my universe into business object server. That is what export and import. Save means it's going to save it on your local machine. Export means you need to publish that particular universe to your business object server. So that is the difference between save and export. Clear?
Yes, it is.
So you are actually moving this universe to your application, which is Business Objects Enterprise, so that not only you, any other developer who has an access to your Business Object Server can import that universe into local machine, and he can change that universe and he can update it into Business Object Server. So Business Object Server is a centralized location where we store all the information. So as a developer, you'll be working on your machine. Another developer, he'll be working on his machine. So before you start working on a universe, you need to import. You need to get a copy from your Business Object Server. That is what import. See, I'm a new developer, and let's say that on my machine I don't have any universe. So what should I do? Go to File, I need to click on Import. So now once you click on Import, it's going to show you the list of universes that are available on your Business Objects Enterprise. Select a specific universe and click on OK. Now you have successfully imported that universe into your machine. So since I'm working in the server, that's why you might have confused, but in real time, you need to have an installation of Universe Designer on your machine, and you need to connect to your Business Object Server, which is on remote location. So now I import it into my machine. Now do the changes, save it. If you click on Save, it's not going to save it in your Business Object Server. It's going to save it on your local machine. Now in order to apply the changes, whatever that you did on your machine, to your universe that exists in your Business Object Server, after saving, you need to export it back to your Business Object Server. So that is what File Export. So that the changes, whatever that you made, is going to reflect in both in your machine as well as in your Business Object Server machine. Clear?
Yes, it is. This means
yeah, go ahead please.
This means we are not changing anything, any data which is on a server. We just import data tables from the server and fulfill our
Start working on that.
needs.
Yes.
Fulfill our needs.
Yes.
And
yes.
we can save our needs on our computers, but cannot save anything on the real data on server.
Yes. Yes. So to save that, you need to again export it back to your real server.
Okay. But the thing is this, if
so that is the difference between save and export.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead please. Go ahead please.
Okay, for example, Wajid saves some data, or you save some reports on your machine, and I am in here and I save some reports on my machine. Can you share your reports to me or no?
Yes, we can. Even in your Web Intelligence reporting tool, you have an option of save and export.
Okay.
So if I click on save, it's going to save it on my computer.
Okay.
But if I go to File, see here again you have export to CMS.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I'm going to publish my report to my Business Object Server so that you can view that report by logging into InfoView.
Okay.
So in each and every tool related to business objects, you have two options: save, three options: save, import, export. So import from CMS, export to CMS is related to Business Object Server, publishing it or copying it from the server. But save option is specific to a machine, wherein you are going to save it on your local. So in order to distribute to other developers, yes, you have to export that particular report or a universe to your Business Object Server. Then only you will be able to view those reports through InfoView. So this is InfoView, and I have list of all reports that we have published. So these are all accessible to all the users who can log in into InfoView and who has enough rights to specific folders. So that is what it means, distributing the objects or reports to all the users by publishing it to Business Object Server. And let's take a scenario wherein importing in the sense, it's not that you are directly opening the universe what you have on your Business Object Server. You are copying it. You are making another copy of the same universe which you already have it in your Business Object Server into your local machine. Because while you are working on a Universe Designer, some client might be viewing your report. So in order to not to disturb the existing reports on your Business Object Server, we have a concept called import. Import in the sense, make a copy into your local machine. Now, the copy what you have in your local machine is different, and the copy what you have in your Business Object Server is different. so that client still can refresh the report and he can see the output. Now you are working on this particular universe. Once you finish doing all the modifications on this universe, then export it back. At that point, when you export it, it's going to override the existing universe what you have in your business object. So that's how we work. And there is one more conflict that we face. What if, while you are working on this particular universe as a universe developer, if any other developer imports the same universe to work on that, then whose work is going to save at your business object server? So the person who saved that particular universe after you save it. So there is a conflict if more than one user working on the same universe. So for that, to avoid that conflict, while importing any specific universe, you have an option of locking that particular universe. See, if I double click on this, it got locked, which means you are working on this universe so that meanwhile no other developer can import this particular universe until unless I release the lock. Do all the changes on your local machine, publish it back to your business object server, then open the lock.
Okay, when you add this and you locked it, this means
when I import it, I logged it.
Okay.
Which means locking in the sense, it doesn't mean that you cannot access it, but you cannot
the other users cannot import it, right?
Yes, other developers, I can say, not users, yeah, other developers. They cannot modify this universe. That's what I mean.
Okay. When
so
you
that once you are done with your modifications and when you save it back to your business object server, then you unlock it. So that while the other developer importing it, he is going to import a universe with the changes you made.
Yes, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, so that's how the developers works.
How about, I have a question like, how about if I want to recover which is already override? Is there any versioning concept here or?
Here there is no versioning concept. So while publishing it, each and every version, you need to take a backup.
Oh, okay. So there is no way to recover if in case accidentally if it is overwritten, then it's overwritten, right?
But you have a database backup of CMS repository from which you can recover. So it depends upon how you are making the backup. If the backup is available, you can recover. Otherwise, you cannot.
Okay.
So let's suppose every day you are taking CMS repository backup. So now, yesterday you published this particular universe, and today you have overwritten this particular universe. Now you want to get the previous universe. So if you have yesterday's backup, yes, I can get it.
Okay.
Or otherwise, you need to store. Yes, it depends upon the backup how you take. Each and every change, you need to take the backup. So there is no tool that it can control version. But yes, in Vivo DI, we have an option of version control. But in business objects, we control the versions based on taking the backup of our CMS repository.
So this version is business object XI3, really R3, right?
XI3.1, yes.
Okay. And I missed a lot of classes, like how many classes already been done? Like
3 to 4 classes are completed. I think if you can request the classes, they are going to send you the recordings.
Okay, so can you please tell me the topics, what you have already covered?
We just covered the architecture. I think you are there in the architecture of business object server, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and after that we started Universe Designer. And in the Universe Designer, we discussed about how to create a new connection and how to add tables, how to define the relationship between them, and everything.
Okay.
Okay. So this Universe Designer is a semantic layer that we have to use it before we start generating reports on our backend database. So there are a lot of advantages using Universe Designer, wherein while generating a report, you normally need to have a query. But here, we need not have a query. What we just do is drag and drop. By default, the tool itself is going to generate a query. So that is the use of Universe Designer. See here, I didn't create any query. In my query panel, I've just selected what all the objects that I want for my report. All these objects are from multiple tables, but where I'm defining the relationship between them and how it is going to generate a query based on the relations that I defined in my Universe Designer. And if you want to see the query, this is what the query got generated dynamically. So this query generation will be handled by Universe Designer. So that's how we do it. So you can go through those recordings, and if you have any questions, you can let me know.
Okay. So you will cover web intelligence rich client, right?
Yes.
And then
Web intelligence as well as Web rich client, and then Excelsius, Crystal reports, and Vivo admin.
Desky also, like you were saying, desktop.
Desky, if you want, I can show you how it looks like, but from the next release onwards, they remove desktop intelligence. The replaceable tool for Desky is Web rich client. That's what we are looking at. So they have completely removed it.
Desky is more like Webi, right? Rich client.
Yes, Desky is more like Webi, but Desky is something that you need to install on your client machine in order to create Desky reports. But Webi, you need not install anything on your machine. Through InfoView, you can create web intelligence.
Okay.
So now, in order to replace that client tool, they released another client tool, which is Webi Rich Client. So why do they need to have two different reporting tools? So why can't they have a single reporting tool on client as well as on InfoView, which we call it as ad hoc reporting? So that's the reason they created one more client tool, that is Webi Rich Client in 3.1. And this web intelligence, you can edit it using Webi Rich Client, or you can edit it directly in your InfoView as well.
Okay.
Okay, and yes, there are a lot of advantages using desktop intelligence. So Desky reports, other than business objects, using Desky reports, it supports macros, it supports VB code. So those are all third-party applications wherein you can incorporate Desky reports in those applications. So that is the advantage of desktop intelligence, which are additional features that you have when you compare with web intelligence. Okay. So I can just show you how a desktop intelligence looks like. The look and feel is same, but you have more options when you compare with Webi.
Okay.
So that is about row level restrictions that we discussed.
Yeah.
And let's look into some of the problems that we face while building a universe. Before moving into that, we discussed what happens if I convert an object property into measure. So this particular object I have converted into a measure, and I have projected that particular value to sum. Since I projected to a sum, what's happening in my web intelligence? Based on the dimension that I select, let's suppose I have state and amount sold, and I'm going to add city, and I'm going to add year. Now run my query. state console here. What's wrong with this query? Okay, we have two different universes. I saved it in different folders. Okay. So if you see here in this report, I have multiple dimensions and one measure. So this measure, since I have projected this particular measure to a sum, if I remove any dimension, let's take an example, I'm going to remove city. Now this particular measure is going to calculate based on year and state. If I remove state, by default this measure is going to be calculated based on any year. So what's happening in my report? If you see the sequel is always same. This is not going to change. But still, based on the dimensions and measures that I drag on my report, I'm going to get different result set. For example, this is one block. I'm going to create one more. See here, I'm using the same measure in two different blocks, but wherein this particular block consists of amount sold based on an year, and this block consists of amount sold based on a state. So by default, it is summing up based on a dimension that you place along with your measure. That is what a projection. But at runtime, what it is doing is it's going to get the comp based on the query that you have created, and inside your report, it's going to calculate the sum based on the dimension that you drag. In order to even improve the performance, to pre-calculate the data by applying a group by, you can also make these measures like this. Then what it is going to do? If you apply sum before you get the data into your report, going to create by clauses at your database itself at the time of generating your query. So now here, what query that you have, I'm going to copy this. So this is the old query that you have. Close it, close this, I'm going to close this report as. Now I'm going to generate a new report and again selecting the same fields here, city, state. Now let's see the query. See, can you observe here the group by? So that is the difference if you apply a summary, and when you compare with the previous scenario, query is going to generate. You're going to see in both the cases, you're going to see the same data, but this one is aggregating at database level, wherein in here you're not aggregating any data, you're getting detail level data into report, and at the report level you're calculating the sum. So the second scenario is much more faster because you're calculating the sum before you get the data into your report. So in both the cases you are going to get the output in the same manner, but the performance might be different because this query might return 100 rows and this query is going to return maybe 20 rows. Clear? Any questions on this? Questions?
So one question I have, like when you put sum in your query at the time you create a universe level, so
Yes.
when you are using any of the dimensions, like any combination of the dimensions,
It's going to create a group by on that.
Based on that dimensions, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that, let's suppose here, let's say city is your least granular level dimension. Okay. Now, before you get the data, you're going to get each and every detail level of data related to city. Okay. Now, let me give you a simple example. I have a table that consists of year, quarter, month, and sales. Now 2001, quarter 1, month 1, some sales. 2001, quarter 2, still quarter 1, month 2, and you have some sales. So this is how you have a data in your backend database. Now, while generating a report, what you did is you selected year, quarter, and sales objects in your query panel. So as per your universe designer, what it does, it's going to get the data like this. Right? This is what the data that you get it into your report. And since you made this sales as a measure, what it is going to do is it's going to group by year and quarter at report level. But actual number of rows that you got is this. But in the second scenario, whatever that you are doing at report level, if you make this object as a sum, it's going to calculate at your database level itself before you get the data into your report. That is nothing but you're going to get the data like this, 2001, quarter 1, and sum of all the sales under 2001 and quarter 1 together. So rather getting 3 rows, you're going to get only 1 row into your report.
Okay. So if you need detailed level, then you don't need to use group sum.
Yeah, it depends upon your requirement. If you want a detailed level, yes, you should not put sum. So that dynamically you are going to calculate sum at report level. But what is the use of having a detailed level? Here you are selecting year and quarter, which means that it is very clear in your query, you want only year and quarterly sales information, not monthly, right? From this selection, can you get monthly sales? You cannot, until unless you go back to your query panel and add another dimension month.
Or maybe if you are doing drill up, drill down, drill through.
Even then, if you want to put a drill up, drill down, drill then, you need to include this object into your query. Otherwise, you cannot do it, right?
Yeah, quarter 1, quarter 2.
Yes. So always do it wherever it is possible. Make this not only as a measure and project it to a sum, also make this particular measure item as sum here as well.
Okay. And one more question.
If you don't do it, it's not going to change your logic. You are always going to set back. There will be a performance difference. Getting 100 records into your report and calculating the sum is different. Calculate at report level and get the result set into your report is different. So you are pre-calculating it before you get the data into your report, which is always faster.
Yeah.
So that's how it works, and that is about how it works in business objects and how we project it. Yes?
This is, I have one more question quick. So when you have designed this universe, right? And when you are writing a report, you are using web intelligence, right?
Okay.
Yes. So let's say if you are using the same universe which you have designed, and then you created a report based on your format, right? And then you want to share it with all the users. So I know you can export this into CMS, and then the user can import it from there. So
no, user is not going to import it. The clients who are viewing these reports are using these universes. Let's take an example. Before you generate this particular web intelligence report, from where you are going to get a universe? You have two different developers. Is different. Report developer is different. Okay. Now, as a universe developer, I developed my semantic layer universe developer and I published into my business object server. Now, I opened a webi rich client and I want to generate a report. Now, I need to create new web intelligence. Whenever I create new web intelligence, it prompts me to select a universe that are available in your business object server. So select a specific universe on which you want to generate a report, which is already published in your business object server. These are all the universes that are published in your business object server, not on your local machine. So I'm selecting this and clicking on OK. And now I start generating report by using some of the objects from that universe. And then I'll run it, I'll get the output and I'll format my report, and now I'll click on save. If I click on save, it's going to save it on my local machine. So I'll save it on my local machine as test. Now I have a copy in my local machine, but I want to distribute this report to my clients. For that, I need to go to file and again I need to export this to CMS. Now I'll be able to see the folder structure what I have in my business object server. Okay. So now I'll select some of the folder and I click on export. So it's going to export my report to the folder called training. So that is the work done by developer. Now client comes, he wants to check the report. So what he'll do is he'll log in into InfoView. So once he logs in into InfoView, he'll be able to see all the structures. So you inform that your report is in training folder. So he'll navigate to a training folder and your report name is test. So you double click on this report, you'll be able to see it out.
So he can't have the access for universe like dimension and measure?
No, for the client you are not going to have an access for the universe. The client is only to see the output and only to refresh the output. Client cannot see universe, client cannot select any universe designer. What all the client can do is open a report, refresh a report, see the output, do the analysis. That's it. Okay, they are worried about output. They are not worried about what tools that you have used. They are not worried about what logic that you have used. At the end of the day, they want output format of their data, how they want to analyze.
So
they just want to see what data that they have in your backend database. Yes, go ahead.
So if they want to do like slice and dice or filter or something like that, they can't do that on this report?
They can do it. We can create filters. We can have a parameters while generating a report. Here in your query panel, you can apply some filters. Add enlist prompt. If I refresh it, it's going to prompt me before I get the output, the list of states, which state data that you want to see, select that and run it.
Okay.
So like that, you can make your report more interactive. So this we are going to discuss more when we discuss web intelligence. So any questions on Universe Designer?
Raghav, I have a basic question. Actually, I'm stuck with it, making a connection itself. So today when I try to make a connection, when we create a new universe, should we always create a new connection or can we use an
Not required. You can use an existing connection if the existing connection satisfy your connectivity details. So the connection what you're looking for it already exists, then what is the use of creating another connection? You can use the existing one.
So whatever you had created, the eFashion -webi.
Yes.
So
yes.
Well, if I select that and test the connection, it always says the server is not responding. This is like for all the connection, I get the same error.
Oh.
It says like could not use unknown file already in use.
You create a new connection, and if you select from this drop down the existing key fashion webi, and if you click on test, seeing server is responding. For you,
Yeah, that's
it's not
I'm
seeing
getting,
server.
but it's not responding.
I think it's a problem with your user
Number,
ID.
anything like that?
It's a user access level restrictions that you have, I think, on your user ID and password on this machine. So what you need to do is start creating a new connection
Okay.
by going into start button. This is a 64-bit machine. So go to start button.
Okay, I tried that one also. There I got another error saying that could not write into the registry.
Good.
That was another error I got when
Good.
I tried to create.
So that's where you have a problem. You don't have an access to ODBC connections. So send an email to BitClasses stating that I'm unable to access ODBC connection.
Okay.
So that you will be, once they give you enough rights, then you will be able to access all this.
So all these I'm able to view. Whatever you're showing me, I'm able to view. But when I try to add,
Are you able to add new one? Yeah. Obviously, you don't have enough. That's why.
Yeah, that.
Obviously, you'll be able to view it, but you will not be able to connect it, or you will not be able to edit it.
Okay. So
what you can do is, at least rather giving an option to edit it. So let's ask them to give an option to add new connection of your own.
Okay.
So make sure that you are unable to access anything in ODBC, and that too 32-bit. So you're using 32-bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And make sure that you get an access. So once you'll be able to create a new connection, then you will be able to use that connection as a source for your nodes.
Okay.
So that is a network issue wherein they need to give enough rights. Okay?
Yeah.
So, okay, then I'm running out of time. So we'll discuss tomorrow the remaining. Okay?
Okay.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.